Trisha's right there.
Hi.
Hi, Trisha.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How's your week?
Oh, okay. I'd say pretty good. A little mix of work and golf, so I'm good.
Mix of work and golf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. You can put your camera on. Now I should be able to see you now.
Oh, here it is. Okay. There we go. There.
Oh, good. Look.
Hi. Yeah.
See? This is so much better
So much
Yeah,
better.
it is. It is.
when I can see people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different.
Okay, good. I don't know how many people are going to join, Trisha, but we'll wait for a few more and then we'll see. We'll start. Trisha,
So,
what's your background?
uh, as far as in what way? My education or
Everything.
there's so I am a Chinese medicine practitioner
Mm-hmm.
and I have a small practice in Venice, Florida, just south of Sarasota.
Mm-hmm.
And I was used to be in Denver,
Okay.
and I was working with two other practitioners in a clinic, and they were teaching me some functional medicine strategies back then, and it was interesting, but I didn't really feel like I was ready as a practitioner to do such a thing, and I was more interested in doing a sports medicine apprenticeship at the time, which I completed. So I did that.
Where did you do
And
that?
I did it through Whitfield Reeves. He's
Okay.
he used to be out of Boulder, Colorado, but he's now I think in like in California somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I'm just thinking of new ways to add to my practice, and functional medicine has always intrigued me. I know very, very little, but yeah, so that's kind of why I showed up again.
Okay, good. Ash, can you make Jeffrey a panelist?
I just did.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah. I reclaimed host and then you
Yeah.
can claim it after like a little bit through
Okay, fine.
because then I'll just go in
Okay, let people in.
and have everyone.
Um, Trisha, so you don't know much about functional medicine, huh?
I know a tiny bit,
Okay, all
but
right. So
not
you know
in
what?
like,
I'm going to start. I wasn't going to do that, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what my approach to functional medicine is, having
mm-hmm,
fully trained in IFM.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe I'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, good. Alejandra,
Hi.
okay, I can see you now. This is so
Yes.
much better. What's going on?
Um, I'm excited. I'm already enrolled in your course beginning in
Yeah, I know.
August.
I know.
Yay.
What's your background?
Right now I'm in Oklahoma. I'm
Yeah.
traveling with my daughter. She's playing the WAPT, the Anika WAPT tour.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I am here with other three more players. So it's been a fun week.
Wow.
Last week
Okay.
was a tough week. This week is a
Why?
fun week.
Why?
Tough week. Well, we didn't make the cut. She wasn't feeling her swing, and we changed a little bit things, mostly mindset. And today we had a lot of fun. So
Okay.
I'm here mainly because of my daughter's journey. She began playing very early when she was 12. Her life ended because she didn't make an international team,
Oh,
and then we tried to help her with some sports psychologists at the time in Mexico. She didn't click with anyone,
mm.
so she turned and said, "Mom, can you help me, please?"
Oh,
So she was at the time 12,
oh, yeah.
and now she's 24.
Wow.
And I've been, trying to be first a very educated parent.
Amazing.
And through her journey, supporting her journey, I found my passion. And I've been coaching LPGA, Epson, LET,
Mm.
some college and junior players, mostly women.
Yeah.
I've coached some men, but I'm a wellness and mental performance coach. I am a functional medicine health coach certified,
From
um,
where?
functional medicine coaching academy.
Okay, I don't know that one. Okay.
They are sponsored by IFM.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm,
All right. So
mhm.
the IFM. Okay, got you.
Yes.
Okay.
And first I was fully into the mental side of the game. And then I discovered that, well, mind isn't everything. So now my approach is more integrative, mind,
Yeah.
body, and spirit.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I really felt connected with your approach.
Okay, good.
And what I want to do is my passion that's been helping all the players, turning it to a business. I
Hmm.
want to make some money out of it.
Yeah, you should. I mean, if you
And
the
and
service
yeah, and
that, that you
what I
need.
want, yeah, what I want to help with mainly with the ladies is to be aware of their of their body, how their body works, hormones and everything, and how does that relate to their performance on and off the golf course.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. Jeffrey, can you hear me? Jeffrey. Maybe he can't speak.
Hey, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Put your camera on.
Okay, is it on?
Uh,
Let me see. What am I doing?
So I promoted you to a panelist. There you go. You just had to accept it. Perfect. And now you're able to put on your camera.
Is it on?
Not as yet.
Let me see. What am I not doing? There we go.
there you go. All right. See, it makes so much difference and I can see people. Oh my. Okay. Jeffrey, what's your story?
What's my story? Well, I'm a sports and conditioning coach. I also do work as an orthopedic rehab specialist.
Okay.
So yes, I have a combination of both strength training and
And rehab, yeah. Very
yeah.
good. Very good. Do you work with a lot of athletes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What kind of athletes?
Right now, mainly college and high school.
Okay. All right. In all sports?
Yes.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. What brought you here?
What brought me here? Well, I'm always seeking to learn more.
Okay.
Trying to improve my knowledge.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna start. Here, let me see. Okay, Ash, you got to.
Yep.
Okay, can I share? Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, can you all see that screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so, for those, I mean, you guys probably know me, but Dr. Ara Supaya, I am trained in allopathic medicine, right? So I went to medical school, trained as a surgeon, trained in critical care and intensive care, and then trained in emergency medicine, and then I trained in sports medicine. Okay. Then I got a chance of working with professional athletes. And what I realized was all that training, all that certification couldn't answer basic questions. Why am I tired all the time? Why are my allergies bad? What can I do to make them better? How do I get over jet lag faster? Right? And I would run blood work, the blood work that I was taught to do, and they were not anemic, the thyroid was normal, but they were still tired. And so I felt, something was not right. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. I should know this. And so fortunately at that time I was training with, I was working with the UK cycling team as a doctor for the event, and came across a very senior person there, and I asked him, and he said, look at cortisol. And medical school cortisol, it was either you have Cushing's disease or you have Addison's disease, right? Like that was it. And I was like, cortisol. Okay, so then this is way back. I started looking at it, and I realized like they were talking one paper that talked about the adrenal response to stress. And so I wrote off, this library. This was before what we have now. Okay, so you had to I had to fill up a card, send it off. Librarian send it off. Week later, 10 days later, I get the paper. I read that paper, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Like, yeah, I never heard of any of this. Then I looked at Hans Selye's work and discovered there was a whole part of medicine. Okay, just like Chinese medicine, just like Ayurvedic medicine, that just like any of the ancient philosophies, right? That I wasn't aware of. And I realized that what I was really good at and what I was trained to do was to look at disease, right? And use pharmaceuticals to address disease. That's what I went to medical school for. That's what they taught me. And I was really good at that. But I didn't understand health because I never studied health. I studied disease. Okay. And the first thing I realized was like, okay, just because someone's not sick doesn't mean they're healthy. Okay. Because we have Olympians who have asthma, diabetes, mental health disease, and they are world champions. And we have everyday people with no medical conditions who can't walk a mile. And so I was like, well, I need to study health. And then I was like, I actually don't want to study health because I want to know how to make the car go faster. I want to know how to make them better, right? And so I went down, I started studying lots of different things, and effectively I was putting pieces together, which was now called functional medicine. So when I moved to the US, functional medicine started becoming a thing, and I was one of the early adopters of signing up with IFM and doing all their full modules, $30,000 worth of modules, exams, did the whole thing, okay? And so Trisha, like functional medicine is evolved in the time that I've seen it to a point where there's so many functional medicine doctors, okay? And most of them are trained to use supplements. So it's a bit like I would tease people, right? Do you ever go to a chiropractor and come out without being adjusted? No. Doesn't happen. If you go to a chiropractor, they're going to adjust you. You go to a functional medicine doctor, you come back with supplements, the bag of supplements, right? And so I'm like, that's not what functional medicine is. So functional medicine to me is understanding who is the person with the condition, with the illness, with the injury, with the disease. Okay? Allopathic medicine is what is the disease, injury, condition the person has. Right? Functional medicine looks at it the other way. Who is the person with the illness? All right? So in order to bring it to sports, when we do this, I will ask 3 questions of any case. Doesn't matter if it's allergies, doesn't matter if it's an acute lower back strain, doesn't matter if it's a headache. I want to know why this symptom, right? So let's say it's a shoulder issue. I'll be like, why is it the left shoulder? Why is it not the left elbow? Why is it not the right shoulder? Okay, why this symptom? Then I want to know why this person. What's unique about this person that predisposes them to this condition? Okay, and then why now? If I can answer those 3 questions, to me, I understand the case. To me, I understand the person with the illness. Okay, and I remember when I trained in sports medicine, Dr. Tom Crisp came and gave a lecture, and he was the head doctor for the team, the GB, Great British Olympic team. Okay, and he gave this amazing lecture, and I was like, oh my God, I need to go with this guy. So when he finished, like I ran after him and kind of followed him and said, hey, when I graduate, can I come and like shadow you or work with you or whatever? Long story short, eventually I did. Okay, and my first day with him, I went and saw this person, came back, and and I was starting to present the case, and he like stopped me and he said, when does my treatment begin? Okay, and I was like, when you make the diagnosis. He's like, no. And I was like, I gave you, and then I said, I don't know. And he goes, when the person hears my name. Okay, and I remember thinking, what? Like, that's either you have a huge ego or like I'm missing the point. And he didn't have a huge ego. He was a lovely human being. And now I realize what he meant. Okay, you want to get so good that when people say, hey, I got your appointment with Jeffrey, I got an appointment for you with Alejandra, they already feel hopeful that they're going to get better. And the reason is you are going to spend time to understand who the person is with the illness. That's not happening in medicine right now. Okay? It's quick. Everything is quick. All right? So this whole functional medicine, sports medicine training that I put together was the training that I needed for myself. And that's how I put this together, because I was like, okay, if I was going to teach myself again, this is how I would teach it. Okay? So with that in mind, I touched on this a bit last time, and this is Hans Selye. Hans Selye was the first person, he's the father of understanding stress. And what he showed was in the 50s, he showed that if you stress an organism, doesn't matter what the stress is, it has a predictable response. Okay, it goes through this stages here of alarm stage, adaptation, plateau, rebound, all of those things. Okay, and then if you stress it without, if you come here and you don't take the stress off, it's going to get sick. Okay, so we took that and we said, all right, well, I took that and I said, well, this is the same as putting someone through a training camp or rehab, right? Because you start there, you start training them, and they're first going to feel like, oh my God, this is awful. Then they adapt and they actually get really so much better than where they started. They started here and now they're here. Then they kind of adapt to that and don't see the response and they kind of plateau. And at that point, if you don't give them a break, they start to decompensate, right? And if you keep pushing them, they get to the point where they're overtrained or sickness. But if you see this and you intervene by either doing a few things like sleeping, eating, then you'll see them rebound. And you see this spot here is higher than here. And if you keep going through this cycle, so an athlete who is 20 years old does this over 7 years, they are going to be way higher up here than here. Okay? So my question was, two athletes starting off together, and one takes off, and the other is still stuck here. Why does this happen? If all things being equal, equally talented, equally hardworking, like why does this happen? Because I see this a lot. One athlete will just break out, okay? And the other is still stuck here. So I went back and looked at a lot of training, a lot of off-season training and in-season training as well. And I wanted to know, okay, like why does this happen? Why, I understand, like from here you keep training, keep lifting, keep doing strength work, you will get better and better and better and better. But people don't, this doesn't keep going. At some point you stop plateauing right? You don't see the gains. And then at some point, you actually start getting dipping. You start getting a little bit underperforming. And I was like, well, why does that happen? Why doesn't this person just keep getting better? Okay. And that's one of the things we'll study in the course. And I covered this the last time. This is the response. So initially, the response is mild, but over a period of time, this response, which leads to all of these things. Okay, I covered this, and if you don't know this, go look at the last call that we had. I covered this. Okay, this is all happening. So at some point, this is going to overtake the adaptation, and you plateau. And if you keep going, this is going to push you to the point where we are down. You're going down. Okay. The other thing that happens is the athlete has a reservoir of oxidants and antioxidants and pro-oxidants. Okay, so the oxidative stress is, think of it as rusting. Okay, so as an athlete trains, they start accumulating rust, and at some point there's going to be a lot of rust. That's also why they dip. Okay, and the third reason is, especially in women, but I've seen this in men, but it's just generally more common in women. It is a relative energy deficiency. Okay, so they don't have energy to train, recover from the training, and run the body. Okay, so to run the body, you need energy to keep your bones happy. You need energy to keep your endocrine organs happy. All of these things here. See this? All of these function. Menstrual cycle. Okay, requires you to have enough energy. Now, if you don't have energy here because you're not eating according to how hard you're training, you will start dipping. Okay, so as people get better, they often train harder, the intensity goes up, and they keep the diet the same. Or they're at a phase where they think, I want to lose, I want to get a six pack, I want to lose some body fat. And then they cut back. That's one of the biggest mistakes you'll see. And they get a relative energy deficiency, and they plateau, and then they drop. Okay, so this thing here happens for those big three reasons. There's probably 30 other reasons, but if you understand those three, which is the focus of the course, then you'll get to understand, okay, you know what, when I see this is what's going on in the body. Okay, now in the course, I specifically also make a point where you want to intervene here because performance is dropping, right? But ideally, you don't want to pick it up here because it's gone too far. You don't want to intervene here because it hasn't dropped yet. That means you still have space to keep improving. Try to squeeze a little bit more, okay? So how do we identify this drop here as soon as possible? Well, those three questions, okay? So the athlete will have symptoms, and those symptoms are, there are 10 major symptoms. And those are symptoms of chronic inflammation. Okay, things like, I'll give you a few. Okay, sleep disturbances, going to bed tired, waking up tired. Okay, energy levels when they work out is down. The skin is not the same. Sex drive is down. Okay, there are 10, 15 symptoms that you need to look for. And if you ask those symptoms, you will know that they're going down this path. Okay, and then we run through, I'll show you this. So this is one of the things I teach you in the course. Okay, most people only look at, when they talk about inflammation, most doctors will only talk about one marker, this one here called the CRP. Okay, that's not enough. And the reason is, I tell a story in the course. I was working in Glasgow and I had this guy come to the emergency room. Okay, he was injecting drugs. He had a huge abscess on his arm, red, hot, tender, it was nasty. He needed to go to the OR to have it removed, okay, to have it drained. And we did his labs and stuff, and for whatever reason, I did a CRP, and I don't know why. I shouldn't have done it because it's not going to change anything we did, but I did it. And he came back normal. And I was like, how could it be normal? Clearly, this is inflamed and it's infected. It's nasty. How can this be normal? Okay. So I went back and asked my boss, and my boss didn't know. He was like, I don't know. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why? And I didn't know. For years, I didn't know until I was doing an IFM course, and God, Dr. Roundtree, that's his name. He said something. He said, CRP is a surrogate marker for interleukin 6. Okay, interleukins are what you release as an inflammatory response. Okay, there are 14 of them. So if you are genetically going to make a lot of interleukin 6, your CRP will be elevated. Just like if some kids will mount a fever when they're sick and some kids don't. Okay, if you genetically don't make CRP, you don't make high amounts of interleukin 6, your CRP will be normal. And your doctor is going to say, well, there's not much inflammation there. So that's why I cannot go with one. Okay? So, yes, I look at the CRP. I also look at the homocysteine. I look at albumin. Okay? I look at ferritin. And I look at the neutrophil to lymphocyte ratio. Okay? So, when I come here, the markers of inflammation, we cover all of this. I also want to see, do you have enough omega fatty acids? Because this is how I tell. This is why I don't tell people, like if you look at the bottle, it'll say take 2 capsules. And I'm like, that doesn't mean anything to me. Why is the whole planet taking 2 capsules? Male, female, 100 pounds, 300 pounds, all 2 capsules. Like, what? Like, it makes no sense, right? So this test, when I look at, this number and this number, you can forget everything else. You just have to look at 2 numbers. And that's kind of how I teach the course. Okay? So, like, if you, I'll show you to another one. Like, you take something like this, and this is pretty scary. Like, there's a lot of stuff here. But honestly, you only need to know this and this. And you can advise your athlete on how much fish oil you need to be taking. Okay? Then I ask a simple question. What's the vitamin D? Look, 28 in this person. How are you going to address that? Okay? If you don't run a vitamin D, then, and you go through this system, you're going to come here and you're like, I don't know about the vitamin D controls about, keeps changing, the last count, about 5,000 genes in the human body. Sleep, immune function, body fat composition, ability to create energy, how well you age, how well your DNA is going to last under the control of vitamin D. So if you are an athlete training and your vitamin D is low, you are here, I need to fix that so that we can implement it, so you keep going to the next one. Okay? Then I ask the question, is the mitochondria working in this person? Right? Because if your mitochondria doesn't have the nutrients, it cannot create energy. Okay? And if you look at this, okay, we cover this in detail, but I'm just going to jump to this. These are all the things that your mitochondria needs. Look, these are not macros, these are micros. And in that big slide, which I talked about, the allostatic response, these are the things that go missing. And so when you are severely stressed, you don't absorb these things. Okay, but we want to know. So see, look at this, all of this. So how do we test for that? Okay, well, you can start off by looking at something like homocysteine. This is a marker for vitamin B12, one of the markers, right? You can look and see if they have enough iron. you can run this is a organic acid test, urine organic acid test. Anybody can order this test. In fact, all those tests, anybody can order these days. A patient can go and get that done without a doctor's note. Okay? And here, like if you look at the first 21, this is the older slide of Genova Diagnostics have now come up with a different way of looking at this. But effectively, it tells you, do they have carnitine, B12? Do they have CoQ10, amino acids, all the vitamin Bs? See, they tell you whether or not you have all of those things to answer the question, does your mitochondria have what it takes to work? Okay? Then we can also look at the stool sample if you want to and identify what the microbiome is doing. Oftentimes when an athlete goes through here and comes down here, the gut is inflamed. Because when the body gets stressed, one of the areas that gets whacked is the gut. Okay? So these are the questions I ask based on a stool test. I will be honest with you, like a lot of people, even my athletes, my guys are working, it's a nightmare to get them to a stool test. They won't do it. Okay? But you work with females, they generally will, and it's a good baseline. It's better to get this done here before you start training. Because if you can address this correctly, then they will really, really get good results during training. Okay? Because training is when you rip everything apart. People think you get stronger when you train. Like, no. You get stronger when you recover from training. Training is literally exploding everything, ripping everything apart. When you recover, your body builds it back up and makes it stronger. That response is dependent on the immune system. Okay? And the immune system lives in the gut. So if your gut isn't working, your immune system's not going to work. Okay? Then we look here. When you go down here, you'll start having effects on your endocrine organs, in particular, like the thyroid, especially in girls. Okay? So one of the easiest way to pick up a thyroid that's starting to slow down is, Ash, there's Andrea. Oh, hang on, let me do it. Maybe I can do it.
Yeah, I just promoted her to
Okay.
the panelist. So she-
Okay. One of the easiest ways to pick up a thyroid that's slowing down is to see a change in the basal body temperature. Okay, so this is a baseline you have to have on your athletes, all of them. Okay, and we address on, okay, what happens in the menstrual cycle? It goes up. So what happens then if you take the body temperature? Well, we address it there. Okay, and then we look at the thyroid in a very particular way. And these are the tests that I want to see. Most people will just run a TSH. It's not enough. You will miss a lot of early slowing down hypothyroidism if you just run a TSH. Because TSH is very late to change. Okay? Hi, Andrea. Okay. Again, this test effectively gets broken down into looking at it this way. And then we look at, testosterone, DHEA, and then here's the most important thing. This is a urine Dutch test. Okay, very, very, very important test. If you can understand this, you're going to have massive, massive improvement in a female athlete's health. Okay, it is understanding what type of estrogen they make, is to understand if they're able to break down estrogen, detoxification of estrogen, because estrogen is a potent hormone. And once it's done its job, it needs to be removed. okay? And the way you break it down is you use the same enzymes that work on the brain, the COMT enzyme, and you need to undergo a process of methylation. And so we cover that in this. But also, there's a group of people, which is why I said stool test, which is why I said girls are more likely to do this. There are a bunch of people, they can go through this whole thing, okay? They make this estrogen, they break it down this way, they clear it. And then as they're eliminating in the stool, they have this thing here called beta glucuronidase. And this thing reforms the estrogen that you broke down. And it recirculates. So they end up having more estrogen than they need. And so if you see this, there's a very specific protocol we go through on how to address that. Okay, I had a young girl, actually, she got to second stage of Q school, all right, and struggled with this, was seeing her OBGYN, they put on spironolactone because, it helped break down the estrogen, but never asked why, like, why is the estrogen high? What's up with her? Why now, right? And we did this test, and this number here was through the roof. And we addressed that, and her symptoms got significantly better. So she never took the spironolactone. Her dad called me, I ended up seeing her, and then she went back to the OBGYN, and the OBGYN said, wow, the drug has done wonders for you. And she was like, I never took the drug. Because they addressed the gut. Okay? This is also on the Dutch test, we look at cortisol. So I take a lot of time to teach you how to read this, because again, like I said, I created this course because I was like, I wish someone had done this for me. I needed this, but no one did. And so I had to like put all of these pieces together from random places, right? So how do you look at this chart for an athlete? Very different, because there are certain things that are permitted, and there are certain things that depends on the sport, right? If I kept this baseline here and I said this is normal, anything outside this is not normal. Well, this does not apply to my baseball players, because they're playing, sometimes they got to play 160 games. A lot of times they're finishing at 10 o'clock in the West Coast, and they live in the East Coast, okay, and they go to bed, like they don't go straight to bed, they're up till 2 o'clock in the morning local, and then they go to bed there. Well, a lot of baseball players, this evening cortisol is high because that's the daytime. Okay, and what do we do if this is low? What do we do if this is high? What do we do if this is high? What if we do if this whole thing is nice pattern, but it's all on the low side? What do we do then? So we have to analyze this not just by looking at it like this. You have to get very good at saying, okay, you know what? What is the rhythm? Does the whole system need to be elevated? Are there points that need to be brought down? Are there points that need to be elevated? What do we do with this? And this is a urine test that anybody can order. Okay, same as this. Urine test. Okay, and then based on like that test, this test, this company will also, depending on what how much you spend, they will give you a breakdown of whether that's melatonin, DHEA, and all those kind of stuff. Okay, but you need this. Very, very important study. Okay, and then again, I mentioned organic acids. Remember the first 21 I said was looking at the mitochondria. Well, you can also look at what happens in neurotransmitters and answer two questions. Is the brain like stressed, or is the brain inflamed? And not inflamed in the way we think of like meningitis, right? Much low grade, meaning like is the brain kind of irritated, okay? And again, if you know how to do this, and you understand the pathways that break down these things are the same pathways that break down estrogen. And so you can understand why certain women will have certain tendencies, both hormonally at different times of the month, but also the brain fog, mental fatigue. Like, what's going on? You know, it's the same enzyme. No one taught me that. For years, I was studying all this differently, and one day I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute, it's the same freaking enzyme that breaks down estrogen, that breaks down the stuff that dopamine, adrenaline, epinephrine in the brain. And so I looked at it even more, and I spoke to some people, and I was like, is it exactly the same enzyme? Is it a different type in the brain? They're like, no, it's exactly the same. So if you have a genetic mutation, or you don't have the cofactors for that enzyme because you're stressed, then you're going to have the same issues in the brain as you're going to do with estrogen. And no one has taught me that. And probably, like, even if you train in functional medicine, they never taught me that. And I doubt anybody will. Okay, then we look at wearable data. All right, so now we have Oura rings, we have Whoop data, we have Fitbit, we have Apple watches. How do you actually look at this data for an athlete? Okay, when you look at sleep, and they give you sleep scores and sleep crowns, and I don't look at any of that. I look at sleep cycles, and I answer specific questions, okay? And we look at HRV, okay, as a trend. So what happens here, I'm going to tell you, whether you join this class or not, I'm going to tell you this, okay? What happens here, your resting heart rate will start going up, and your HRV will start going down. When you see that two combination, you know you're here, okay? As you're going through here, you'll see the trend. Resting heart rate will be like, starting to creep up. And then here you'll see the HRV start dropping. But if you're a female athlete, this is a graph. I want you to see this. Look at this. This is normal variation of HRV in a female athlete during her menstrual cycle. Okay? With nothing to do with exercise. Just being a female going through her menstrual cycle. Right at here, just before ovulation, okay? HRV goes up. And then when you're in the premenstrual phase, it starts going down. Look at the resting heart rate. Look at this one here, okay? Resting heart rate starts going up. So there's a crossover point just around ovulation, okay, where resting heart rate goes up, HRV goes down. I just told you that's what happens here in a training athlete. So in a female, how are you going to interpret the HRV? If you didn't realize this, you're going to get it wrong. Okay? So Alejandro's like staring at this. I cover this again, this is one of my favorite graphs. This was such a beautiful study. Like, look at every single thing they studied. I mean, someone took the trouble to study women at this level. I mean, it's just phenomenal. That's why, like, men are so easy. It's the same. It's a freaking straight line, dude. Nothing changes. We are like so dumb. Nothing changes. Like a female athlete to compete. And this is just normal for her. This much change for just being alive. Forget competition. And then you run out of energy. And then you got to break down estrogen. Like it's a different ballgame. Okay? So I do a whole piece there on the female athlete. In fact, the case that I do focus on a female athlete. And you guys will be the fifth cohort, and like I tweak the classes based on who's in the class, what their background is, what they need, so that when you finish, there's no point me like if you're all doctors, I would treat this very, very, very differently because we can talk about the blood levels are very nuanced, right? But you don't need that. You might need something much more different. Like if you're working, like Alejandro's going to work with female athletes, Jeffrey's going to work with rehabbing female athletes. Well, one of the things we know is the premenstrual phase is an inflammatory state. Not many people will point that out to you, but if you think about it, you have temperature goes up, all the cardinal signs of inflammation, increased temperature, more pain, more water retention. Okay? Those are inflammatory states. Why do you think ACL ruptures happen in female athletes during that stage? Because of a situation like this. So if you know that, and you're a strength and conditioning coach, you need to take out like HIIT exercises out of this window. This is great for doing controlled heavy lifting. Great. But not bounding. That's when you're going to rupture your ligaments. Right? So if you didn't know that, if you didn't know that this is what a female athlete goes through, like men, doesn't matter. You could do whatever you want. It's the same nonsense. When a female athlete, you got to be careful. And look at this. This is a 24-day cycle. Some women, the average is 28 to 35, right? So where is this in their cycle? Those are the kind of questions. That's like, to me, that's playing the game at understanding why this person, why this issue, why now. Okay? And again, look, if you take omega-3s, it's going to affect your heart rate variability. Again, not many people tell you this. If you take sufficient amount, so we started right at the beginning. Remember I said, what's the omega-3 index? So if you knew that and you're like, I want the index to be a certain way, and you put them on high doses of omega-3s, well, there's going to be some changes in the rest heart rate variability. Okay? All right. Hey, Ash. Okay, I sucked at this, so I'm going to do it right now. Ash, can you put the link? Okay, wait. What?
So the link is in the chat for the course, as well as a coupon code for you guys that we're gonna give you guys. That's all in the chat already.
Okay,
Those
good.
who haven't signed up, if you want to look there, and again, email me with any other questions that you have for the course.
So, thank you, Ash. So this is effectively all the modules. Okay, and it's based on this matrix here. See this triangle? The base of this is chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation comes from and exacerbates energy systems, immune function, detoxification, hormone and brain function, and the skeletal system. Okay? And this platform here, this green stuff needs to be really good in order for you to absorb training and recovery and build resilience, which is where the athletic performance sits on. Okay, and all of this is under the governance of your genetics, your epigenetics, and your environment. And this course, like this is what we study. So look, symptoms of chronic inflammation. That's all of this. Okay? And then there is, so some people were asking me last time, you need to put about an hour a week in order to do this. There is homework. I expect you to finish that. If you want me to give you a certificate saying you finished this, then I want to know that you're not going to go out there and say, oh, I got trained with Dr. Ara, and then like be terrible. I'm not okay with that. You know? So there's coursework, there's case studies, there's 2, male and female. Okay. And then, yeah, these are all the things that you will learn. Okay. In particular, how to assess mitochondrial function, how to assess estrogen balance, how to assess thyroid function, how to assess insulin resistance. Okay. Be able to identify and break down a food diary. Be able to look at a training diary, training log. Okay. And understand why does, adaptation stop. But fundamentally, when you finish this, when you complete this masterclass, answer those 3 questions on anybody. Why this person? Why this injury? And why now? Right? The one thing you won't be able to do is from an injury point of view, you won't be able to understand the biomechanics. Sometimes injuries happen because it's a compensation pattern for something else, and it's a mechanical issue. That is not the topic of this course. This course will definitely be able to tell you why now and why this person. Who is the person with this injury? Okay. Again, all the modules, there's bi-weekly calls, which actually ends up being more than bi-weekly. The coursework is, I look at it myself. So basically there's no AI here. The AI is Ashley and me. That's it. Ashley's A, I'm I. That's it. That's our AI. Okay. There's no AI marking your coursework, nothing like that. So, and then you get when I finish this cohort, like the cohort 4 that just finished, they will join you guys, because the first time you do this, it's a lot. The second time it becomes easier, and by the third cohort, by the time you join the third cohort, so you'll be 5, 6, 7. Like when you join cohort 7, this will be like, oh, I've heard this a million times. I know what he's talking about. So it's important that you do all 3 for your own sake. You don't have to, but that's what I want you to do. Again, like I said, I designed this based on like, what would I want? This is what I want. Okay. And so that's how much it is. That's how much the cost is right now. And then what's the discount code, Ash? Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I've got to unmute myself. It's Web 700 for
Okay.
the discount.
Okay. So, any questions?
Do you have the same graph for a man? Can we just compare? I'm just
No.
amazed of the
It's a straight
HRV.
line. It's a straight line.
Wow.
Nothing changes.
Yeah, they're easy.
Easy. So easy. Like there's nothing changes.
Hmm.
And I put that graph up and I go, this is what a female athlete lives with. Forget training, forget competing, forget traveling, that's just baseline, being alive as a female.
Hmm.
And then you got to go compete with that? Yeah.
Yeah, and here the tour I am traveling with, it's mainly eating Chick-fil-A, Chipotle. So it's like, oh my God, no.
But like again, food itself has no moral judgment, right? Like
Hmm.
food is not good or bad. If you go to the Olympic Village and you see Usain Bolt, I swear to God, this is truly what happened. He's having McNuggets. There's a McDonald's in the Olympic Village. Okay, and it may sound so ridiculous, but at least you know that food is not going to be contaminated. Okay, so again, like, is it good food, bad food? Like, there's no such thing. We make up all the stuff because ultimately, if you don't meet your calorie requirement, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad, right? Michael Phelps, 10,000 calories a day. How much healthy food are you going to eat to get 10,000 calories a day? Not possible. So you got to meet your calorie requirement. So, yeah.
Yeah, very excited to start.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm so glad. Any other questions? Anyone else?
I do. So it's 6 months of coursework
No, no, no,
or
no.
calls.
It's so each cohort
Mhm.
is 3 to 4 months. It's about 4
Okay.
months.
Okay.
Okay. Once you finish one cohort, like I just finished the other cohort. When do we finish that? May?
Yeah, in May.
May. Okay. So then, the next cohort starts in August 5th. All those people will be invited to come and join this cohort.
Mhm.
And now what they're doing is they're going to listen to the same lectures with a little bit of difference because the group is different,
Mhm.
right? So I tweak the messaging depending what the group is. So now they're going to listen to it and they go, oh, wow, okay, I didn't hear this. But a lot of the material is the same. I don't expect them to do the coursework, but the lectures, the live calls, and going through this makes them reapply what they did second time round. And then they do it again with the cohort number 6. So that's
Okay.
what I'm saying. It's not mandatory. What's required of you is this cohort is
Mhm.
4 months.
So for weekly calls are what do you know what day they're going to be on? Just I'm trying to figure
They're usually Tuesdays,
Tuesdays.
and it's not weekly. It's more like bi-weekly that we do.
Okay.
And then depending on how the group is, the like the last group, I added like 3 extra calls. In fact, no, we ended up like 10 calls in total.
Yeah, it was more than you.
Significant amount more because they just needed help.
Yeah. And then what's the time frame on each week for the call?
The call is scheduled for an hour, but a lot of times, depending on how many questions people have, how chatty people are, they try to run. So I made the mistake of not controlling it
Yeah.
because I thought that's what people wanted, and then I realized like no. So last cohort was very good. I kept it all around 1 hour. But here's what is really important to show is those live calls are like so good.
Mhm.
And you have access to the live calls from the first cohort all the way to the last cohort I just did.
Mm.
Every live call I've ever done is recorded and is in there. Okay? And if you just go through that while doing this course, it's already paid itself off.
Mhm.
And Trisha, I have the booklet for this cohort if you want me to send it to you, just so you have an idea of it has some of the live dates that we have as well. And I can send that to you or anyone if you guys are interested.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very much want to do it. I have like the Functional Medicine Institute saved. I've like I said, I was practicing in Denver with practitioners that were teaching me functional medicine as I went along.
Yeah.
And so they would sit me with cases that we had in our clinic. And I just do strictly traditional Chinese medicine. So I would like to start narrowing in, like I have the sports medicine apprenticeship that I did with that's all acupuncture. That's all that's like the PT of the acupuncture.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of people in, and I'm just struggling like with, do I do it this way? Do I just keep doing, I don't know. I want to know this seems very valuable and it is very intriguing in my intuitive side, but I just like, I want, yeah. I mean, I go back and forth. Like I literally had the page up. I had the web code and I just could not click purchase because I was like, wait, I'm just really struggling with
Trisha,
I know it's valuable, but I'm just kind of.
no, listen, Trisha, don't feel pressurized. Don't feel pressurized. I've been there. I've been there. On my computer right now, there are like 4 courses
Yeah.
that I want to buy. okay, and I'm looking at it going, but I haven't finished the last two that I bought,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So I always, but there are courses that I still buy. Like I just bought something recently and finished it because it was something that was relevant to my practice.
Mm.
So only do it if it's relevant to your practice, right?
Well, half is, half isn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I see an elderly population, but I also see high level athletes, more competing in masters. But my
wow.
hope, huh?
Masters level athletes?
Yeah, yeah. So
Huh.
I treat a lot of triathletes, swimmers mostly, and some runners, and then I have just a regular recreational golfer too. But I actually have a girl that's she's on the Epson tour, and so I have she's traveling right now. So
Let me ask you something. Do you have
yeah.
time? If you have the time,
Hmm.
okay, based on your clientele,
Yeah.
you should do this course
I mean, I'd like to. Yeah.
because you will absolutely serve them so well.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't
Yeah.
have the time, don't do it.
Well, and I get frustrated because I have a few people that have seen functional medicine, nurse practitioners,
No.
and then they're telling me, they're giving me the list of supplements that they're taking, and I'm doing Chinese medicine, and I'm trying to get them off of that stuff and just
Correct.
get their body back into rhythm
Correct.
with Chinese medicine.
Like we covered all of that. Not once did I talk about supplements, unless it's omega-3s. Like I didn't say one supplement
Yeah.
because that's not what functional medicine ever was.
Can I get into the conversation a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
I see a functional doctor, and she's helping me a lot with hormone issues.
Yeah.
But I have to have a lot of supplements. And now that I'm traveling, so thinking about your Epson client, it's really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, with the girls we are traveling, I am just, telling them omegas and this. And what I think valuable of this course is this: you can put it into practice, not only with your high level athletes, but also with your other clients, because it's very expensive to buy everything a functional medicine doctor
Oh
tells
no,
you to buy.
I totally like like Mike Howry. He's not here. He actually had a CPA. Mike Howry. He was CPA, and he reached out to me and he said, "I want to do this course." And I'm like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, I want to learn my own body. I want to analyze my own blood work, and I want to learn it myself." This guy was on 32 supplements. 32 supplements with a functional medicine doctor, right? And so I was like, dude, that's like a full-time job. If you're taking 32 supplements, that's a full-time job, like every day. Like, I mean, where do you have time to do that? When he finished this, within 3 months, he was down to one thing. Because that's not the point. The point is, if you can understand, if you find certain things, sure, you need to address it, right? But what are you supplementing? You can address a lot of it just by your own nutrition and what lifestyle changes can you make, And so that's primarily how I run the show. Like, if you take the time to understand, listen, that's why I told you the story. If you take the time to understand and take a history and answer those three questions, the person is going to feel heard and healing already begins. The biggest supplement you've used is your time and your curiosity in their well-being. There is no other supplement you need. Start there. If you can't do that, don't prescribe supplements. That's just cheating them off what they're worth. It's not right. So like, Trisha, if you have time, your clientele is good, like, masters athletes are very interesting people. Very interesting people because they're going against biology, right? biology is telling them you need to slow down, shut down, and die. And they are going, no, I want to break a 400 meter at 65. And you're like, wait, what? Like, amazing group of people. I know a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And
All
this
right.
starts August 5th, you said?
yeah, I'm going to start August 5th. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. We good? Any other questions? No? All right. So we'll send you the recording to this. Are we going to send, you going to send them a link as well, Ash? Oh, no.
The link to the course?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the chat. Can everyone
Okay.
access the chat?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right. 8:04. Everybody, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And if you join the course, I'll see you in the course. Otherwise, just stay in touch.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you in August.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.